Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dear Listeners. I'm Sunita, and I hope you're doing well. So, today's story is The Woman Who Started Over at 42. You know, people love new beginnings in theory. Fresh starts, second chances, follow your dreams. It sounds beautiful in motivational quotes, but in real life, starting over is terrifying, especially when you're no longer young, especially when people around you think your life is already decided. And today's story is about a woman who discovered that it's never too late to rebuild your life, even slowly, even imperfectly. Her name was Seema. She was 42 years old, a mother, a wife, a homemaker for almost 18 years. And honestly, for most of her life, she had lived for everyone except herself. Her mornings began before sunrise, packing lunchboxes, making tea, waking children, preparing breakfast, managing endless household work. By the time she finally sat down for a moment, someone needed something again. And somehow, years passed like that, quietly, quickly. Now, don't misunderstand. Seema loved her family deeply. But somewhere in the middle of responsibilities, she had slowly disappeared from her own life. The strange thing was, nobody noticed it, not even Seema herself at first. Because when a woman keeps giving constantly, people start treating it like her nature instead of her effort. One afternoon, after finishing the dishes, Seema opened an old cupboard searching for winter clothes. And while moving things around, she found something unexpected, a sketchbook. Old, dusty, forgotten. She opened it slowly. Inside were pencil sketches she had made years ago before marriage. Portraits, nature drawings, tiny fashion designs, and suddenly it felt like she was meeting an old version of herself, a version she had completely abandoned. That evening, while making dinner, she couldn't stop thinking about those drawings. Her daughter noticed her silence and asked casually, "What happened, Mom?" Seema smiled faintly. "Nothing, I used to draw before." Really? Her daughter asked, genuinely surprised. And honestly, that question hurt a little because her own children had never known that part of her. That night, after everyone slept, Seema quietly searched online how to learn digital illustration. Now, listen, this wasn't some dramatic movie moment. She wasn't suddenly transformed overnight. In fact, for several days, she only watched videos secretly, without telling anyone, because somewhere deep inside, she felt embarrassed. At 42, starting something new felt almost foolish. And honestly, people around her didn't help much either. When she casually mentioned wanting to learn illustration again, one relative laughed immediately. At this age? Another person said, "You should relax now instead of creating new stress." And one sentence stayed with her painfully. "What's the point now?" You know? Sometimes people don't realize how discouraging simple words can become. For a few days, Seema almost gave up. But then one evening, while scrolling through old photos, she saw a picture of her younger self holding that sketchbook proudly. And suddenly she thought, if I ignore myself forever, what exactly am I teaching my children? That sentence changed something inside her quietly. The next morning, she bought a small second-hand tablet for drawing. Not expensive, not perfect, but enough to begin. And honestly, the beginning was frustrating, very frustrating. Her hands felt slow, technology confused her, tutorials felt overwhelming. Many nights she wanted to quit. But slowly, something beautiful started happening. For the first time in years, she felt excited again. Not because she had become successful, but because she finally had something that belonged only to her. Every night after finishing household work, she practiced for 1 hour, sometimes tired, sometimes sleepy, sometimes doubting herself completely. But she continued, quietly, consistently. Months passed, and slowly her drawings improved. One day, her daughter secretly uploaded one of her illustration online, and unexpectedly, people loved it. Comments started coming. "This is beautiful. You're talented. Do you take commissions?" Seema stared at the screen in disbelief. Because after years of feeling invisible, someone was appreciating her again. Not just her cooking, not just her sacrifices, her. And honestly, that feeling brought tears to her eyes. A year later, Seema started a small online page for her artwork. Nothing huge, nothing glamorous, but piece by piece. She built something of her own. And the most beautiful part? Her children started seeing her differently too. Not just as mom, but as a person with dreams, identity, creativity. One evening, while working on a drawing near the balcony, her husband looked at her and smiled softly. You seem happier these days. And after a small silence, Seema replied, I think I finally met myself again. And honestly, that may have been the real success story. Not money, not fame, just rediscovering the part of yourself life buried under responsibilities. Because sometimes people think it's too late to begin again. But life is strange. A person can feel alive again at 40, at 50, even at 60. All it takes is the courage to begin before life ends. So tell me honestly, my dear listeners, have you also abandoned a dream somewhere along the way? What's one thing you secretly still want to learn or try? And do you think age should ever stop someone from starting over? If this story touched your heart, share your thoughts below. And if you want more stories, just write more stories in the comments. Till next time, don't ignore the person you once wanted to become.